distinguished delegates, any moment now, the heads of state will be coming in.
Bibi na mabwana, wajumbe ajuadi, muda wowote kutoka hapa, wakuu wa nchi za Afrika utakuwa wakiingia. Kwa hiyo tuombe kila mtu achukue nafasi yake, muda si punde tunaanza programu yetu ya siku ya leo. Kama ujui wapi unatakiwa kukaa, tafadhali tunaweza kukusaidia upate eneo la kuketi. Kama una nafasi kwa upande wa hapa chini, bado kuna nafasi katika sakafu ya pili, unaweza ukakaa pale kwenye upande wa meza 9. Hakuna yeyote atakayeruhusiwa kusimama tutakapoanza programu hii. Wakati huu niendelee kuwaomba kwamba tuchukue nafasi zetu kwa kuwa muda si punde tunaanza programu yetu. Asanteni sana.
fire when them try attack. Now Holy Ghost fire when them try attack. ever pray make a fall. If only them know the place where I come from, them no go ever wanna see me fall. If only them know the things that I've been through, them no go ever pray make a fall. You know feel spoil waiting I don't fix. Mouth can't talk waiting I don't see. Balls I speak from experiences. Hustle and 9 and 5 and 6. No slowing down, get a long way to go. Men feed it up, them can't bring me low. I be 100 and then be 0. I take the lead, all of them they follow. Pay the price, child my Christ. Don't give an F about your lies. Them catching feelings, I'm catching flights. Them talking cause I'm doing it right. No slowing down, get a long way to go. Men for the top, them can't bring me low. I be 100 and then be 0. I take the lead, all of them they follow. If only them know the place where I come from, them no go ever wanna see me fall. If only them know the things that I've been through, them no go ever pray make a fall. If only them know the place where I come from, them no go ever wanna see me fall. If only them know the things that I've been through, them no go ever pray make a fall. You know feel spoil waiting I don't fix. Mouth can't talk waiting I don't see. Balls I speak from experiences. Hustle and 9 and 5 and 6. No slowing down, get a long way to go. I be 100 and then be 0.
Most magic.
Become a liar every single time I hold ya, yeah. Become a liar every single time I touch ya, yeah. Or remove my
Ladies and gentlemen, if we could all please rise as our heads of state and our guests
sasa
arrive into the auditorium. Thank you very
kwa
much for your kind
wageni
attention.
wetu wa
As the heads of state are coming into the room, can we all please give them a big round of applause? And I also request the brass band to please come into the room ready for the anthems. May I request that we allow the brass band to come into the room for the national anthems? Okay, they should. May I now request the brass band to please come in?
Ni waombe tuweze kusimama kwa ajili ya wimbo wa ukifuatiwa na Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki, na baada ya hapo Umoja wa Afrika tukiongozwa na bendi yetu.
Our hands as we take our seats. Excellencies, you're welcome to take your seats. Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause. Our guest of honor this morning, totally honored and delighted to have you with us this morning. I would also like to recognize the presence of Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, President of the African Development Bank Group. Let us give him a big round of applause. I would also like to recognize the presence of Mr. Ajay Banga, President of the World Bank Group. Let us give him a big round of applause. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, allow me also to recognize the presence of Dr. Rajiv Shah, President of the Rockefeller Foundation. Let's give him a big round of applause. I would now like to recognize the presence of the heads of state, to begin with His Majesty King Lesti III, King of the Kingdom of Lesotho. Let's give him a big round of applause. I would like to recognize the presence of His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, President of the Republic of Djibouti.
Napenda kutambua uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Denis Sassou Nguesso, Rais wa Congo Brazzaville. Napenda kutambua uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Azali Assoumani, Rais wa Umoja wa Komoro. Napenda kutambua uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Angelina, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Madagascar. Napenda kutambua uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Somalia. Napenda kutambua pia uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Julius Madabayo, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Sierra Leone. Napenda pia kutambua uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Mohamed Ould Cheikh El Ghazouani, Rais wa Mauritania. Mheshimiwa Rais, niruhusu nitambue uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Evariste Ndayishimiye, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Burundi. Napenda pia kutambua uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Umaro Sissoco Embalo, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Guinea Bissau. Napenda pia kutambua uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Lazaro Makathi Chakwera, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Malawi. Nitapenda pia kutambua uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Dr. Mohamed El-Mefi, mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mpito Libya. Nitapenda pia kutambua uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Hakainde Hichilema, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Zambia. Mheshimiwa Rais, niruhusu nitambue uwepo wa Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Niruhusu pia kutambua uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Bola Tinubu, Rais wa Nigeria. Mheshimiwa Rais, niruhusu kutambua pia uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Jenerali Brice Kotsar Oligui Nguema, ambaye ni Rais wa Jamhuri ya Gabon. Mheshimiwa Rais, niruhusu nitambue uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Joseph Numa Boakai Senior, ambaye ni Rais wa nchi ya Liberia. Nitapenda pia kutambua uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Taye Atsetsi Selassie, ambaye ni Rais wa Ethiopia. Mheshimiwa Rais, niruhusu pia kutambua uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Duma Gideon Boko, Rais wa Botswana. Nitapenda pia kutambua uwepo wa Mheshimiwa John Dramani Mahama, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Ghana. Mheshimiwa Rais, niruhusu nitambue uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Miriam Chabi Talata, ambaye ni Makamu wa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Benin. Nitapenda pia kutambua uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Mohamed Jallow, ambaye ni Makamu wa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Gambia. Nitapenda pia kutambua uwepo
Yami Osinbajo, former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Your Excellency, allow me to also recognize the presence of Honorable Raila Odinga, former Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya. Your Excellency, allow me to also recognize the presence of the retired Honorable Robina Nabanja, Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda. Your Excellency, allow me to also recognize the presence of Honorable Ali Mahman Lemi Zain, Prime Minister of the Republic of Niger. Your Excellency, we have in our midst Honorable Robert Bourg Mambe, Prime Minister of the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire. Allow me, Your Excellency, to recognize the presence of Honorable Dr. Americo de Oliveira, Prime Minister of the Democratic Republic of Sao Tome and Principe. Your Excellency, allow me to also recognize the presence of Honorable Tulisile Lala, Deputy Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini. I would also like to recognize the presence of Honorable John Mutowa, Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Works and Transport of the Republic of Namibia. Honorable Your Excellency, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, allow me also to recognize the presence of Honorable Gaudencio Mohaba Mesu, Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Equatorial Guinea. I would also like to recognize the presence of our very own Honorable Dr. Mashaka Biteko, Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Energy of the United Republic of Tanzania. Your Excellency, allow me to recognize the presence of Mrs. Amina Mohammed, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations. Allow me also to recognize the presence of Honorable Mokhtar Babayev, President of the COP COP29 and the Minister of Ecology and Natural Resources of the Republic of Azerbaijan. Your Excellency, allow me to recognize the presence of Mr. Elias Mahosi, Executive Secretary of the Southern Africa Development Community, SADC. I would also like to recognize the presence of Dr. Amani Abu Zaid, representing His Excellency Mr. Musa Faki Mahamat, Chairperson of the African Union Commission. Dear partners and co-organizers of the Africa Energy Summit, honorable heads of national institutions of the United Republic of Tanzania, Your Excellency Professor Oluyemi Osinbajo, former Vice President of the Republic of Nigeria, honorable ministers present, Your Excellencies, heads of diplomatic mission, heads of international institution and development partners present, dear executive directors of the African Development Bank and those from the World Bank, senior management and staff of the African Development Bank and those of the World Bank, distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you all to Tanzania. This is Africa Heads of State Energy Summit. Your Excellency, allow me to recognize in a very special way the National Organizing Committee from the Ministry of Energy of the United Republic of Tanzania, as was led by Commissioner Innocent Luoga, that of the World Bank team led by Nathan Belete, and that of the African Development Bank Country Office led by Ms. Patricia Levely. Your Excellency, without further ado, allow me now to take it forward from ideas to action to accelerate energy access, to invite to the podium Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, President of the African Development Bank Group, for his key remark, to be followed by that of Mr. Ajay Banga, President of the World Bank Group. As it comes, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, let's give him a big round of applause.
Your Excellency, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, my dear sister, and our own generous host. Thank you very much, Madam President. Your Excellency, Mohamed Ould Ghazouani, President of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania and Chairman of the African Union. Your Excellencies, heads of state and government, the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, the Deputy Secretary General of United Nations, my dear sister Amina Mohammed, the President of the World Bank Group, my brother Ajay, President of Rockefeller Foundation, Raj, heads of multilateral development finance institutions, honorable ministers, private sector leaders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Africa Energy Summit. I wish to thank Your Excellency President Samia Suluhu Hassan for graciously and generously hosting us for this summit. You are such a remarkable leader. And it's always a joy to be in Tanzania. I wish to express our deepest appreciation to the Chairman of the African Union, President Ghazouani, the President of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, for co-hosting this summit. I am extremely grateful to you, Your Excellencies, heads of state and government, for honoring our invitation, for being here in such large and unprecedented numbers. It shows the high priority and the political commitment you place on expanding the access of your populations to electricity. Access to electricity is critical for Africa's economic growth. The lack of adequate electricity reduces the GDP of Africa by 2 to 4%. Your Excellencies, since the African Development Bank Group launched in 2016, at the start of my first term as President of the African Development Bank, working with all our partners, significant progress has been made in expanding access to electricity. The share of the population with access to electricity in Africa significantly increased from 39% in 2015 to 52% in 2024. The African Development Bank Group has supported over 25 million people to have access to electricity. However, despite the progress being made, Africa still has 571 million people without electricity, accounting for 83% of the global population without electricity. Over 1 billion people do not have access to clean cooking solutions, which negatively impacts on women's health, children's health, and lives. We must take decisive actions to further drive down these numbers, and that is why Ajay Banga, President of the World Bank Group, and I joined together to launch the Mission 300 with a goal of expanding access of 300 million people in Africa to electricity by 2030. Mission 300 has grown into a global movement, and we were joined by the African Union, Commission, several global partners, including the Rockefeller Foundation, the Sustainable Energy for All of the United Nations, the Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet, and we are not alone. We have just been joined as well by the Islamic Development Bank, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, the French Development Agency, Agence Française de Développement, and several bilateral development agencies. We will not succeed, Your Excellencies, if we do not work closely and more openly with more space for the private sector. And that is why we are delighted that several leading CEOs from around the world have joined us today. Critical reforms will be needed to expand the share of renewables, improve functioning and performance of utilities, transparency in licensing, power purchase agreements, and predictable tariffs regimes that reflect the cost of production. The private sector will also need to play a critical role to expand mini-grids and off-grid systems to reach millions of people without access to grid-based power in rural areas. Our collective effort is to support you, our heads of state and government, to develop and to implement clear actions embedded in country-led national energy compacts, your compacts, to deliver on your visions for electricity in your respective countries. The African Development Bank and the World Bank have developed a very clear path to achieving the 300 million access goal. Together, the African Development Bank and the World Bank will commit $40 billion towards the Mission 300. With $18.2 billion from the African Development Bank and $22 billion from the World Bank Group. And Ajay will talk about that when he comes on board. It is an unprecedented alliance. Thank you very much, Ajay. We couldn't have done this without you. Thank you so much. And thank you very much to Rasha, President of Rockefeller Foundation, for providing critical technical assistance, support of $20 million that made the preparation of the country energy compacts possible. Thank you very much to you and your colleagues. Your Excellencies, support for Mission 300 keeps pouring in. Yesterday, at the first day of the summit, our development partners made huge announcements in support of Mission 300. The President of the Islamic Development Bank Group announced $2.65 billion in support. The President of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank announced $1.5 billion in support. The President of the OPEC Fund announced $1 billion in support. And the French government will be making a major announcement today. We are confident that other development partners here and elsewhere will join us and announce their respective commitments either today and after. Your Excellencies, as I close, I would like to thank you and to say we need your personal leadership to get this done. Together, let us decisively use Mission 300 to deliver 300 million people in Africa with access to electricity in all your countries by 2030. The African Development Bank's $20 billion Desert to Power program will complement Mission 300 and develop 10,000 megawatts of solar power across 11 Sahelian countries and provide access to electricity for an additional 250 million people. Therefore, the Mission 300 and the Desert to Power working collectively will provide 550 million Africans with electricity. That, Your Excellencies, will deliver universal access to electricity for Africa. What a difference that will make for your respective countries. And what a difference that will make for Africa. You will be remembered, Excellencies, as the presidents who gave your countries 100% access to electricity. You will be remembered as the presidents who said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Thank you very much, and asante sana.
From ideas to action to accelerate energy access, Your Excellency, allow me now to invite to the podium Mr. Ajay Banga, President of the World Bank Group, for his remarks, to be followed by Dr. Rajiv Shah, President of the Rockefeller Foundation. As he gets to the stage, let's give him another round of applause.
Madam President, I want to start yesterday for the generosity but also the focus and energy of your government and your people to making this possible. Thank you once again. And to my partners, Akin and Raj, I could not believe that we would get to this point when we started this journey last year. It started out at the spring meetings of the World Bank IMF meeting, and it started out with us saying that the World Bank would reach 250 million people by 2030, and the African Development Bank would add 50 million. And then Raj Shah called me up a few days later and said, "I have a proposal for you. I'd like to help you." And that spirit of contribution that Akin and Raj have shown from day one is why we are all here together. So thank you to both of you. I have a very simple agenda for all of us here, heads of state, who are showing your participation and your support for us. We need every ounce of your support. But the reality is, your people need it even more than all of us do. Over the next decade, 360 million young people in Africa will be ready to enter the workforce. That same decade, out of every 5 young people without the opportunity of a job, which gives you not just earning, but dignity. And I think if Africa is to achieve its objectives of taking advantage of its demographic dividend over this coming period, then all of us need to change this idea, because forecasts are not destiny. Forecasts are not destiny. We can change only realized by deeds. It is deeds that we are here together to discuss. Our mission to address the fundamental challenge of providing electricity to half of this continent's people, 300 million, who do not have access. This is just the critical first step. M300 is the cornerstone of a jobs agenda. It is not just about electricity. It is not just about clean cooking. It is not just about healthcare. It is about people and their optimism and their hope. For dignity. This is the cornerstone of a jobs agenda. It is the foundation, and we would like to be your partners as we go forward. To succeed, we all have to embrace a very simple truth. No one can do it alone. Governments cannot do it alone. Businesses cannot do it alone. Philanthropies cannot do it alone. Development banks cannot do it alone. But together, we can. And only through collaboration can we achieve this idea of making it possible. Governments are the architects of reform. They craft the policies, the regulations that drive progress. but they're also the engineers of investment. They leverage their resources to finance essential infrastructure. Over the past year, we've worked alongside leaders of your countries to develop country-specific plans. These are rooted in data, they're endorsed at the highest levels by you, and they are aligned with very clear goals of reform. These plans focus on affordable power generation, on expanding connections, and on regional integration and regional electrical markets. They aim to boost the efficiency of utilities, they aim to attract private investment, and the idea is deliver reliable, sustainable electricity. These are going to require political will, persistence, and a long-term vision. So amid fiscal challenges, governments will also need the support to meet these infrastructure goals. And that is where the IMF, the World Bank, the African Development Bank, all our partners that Akin referred to, that's the role we can play to help you free up resources. But for the private sector, a lot of our friends and colleagues who are in this room, this effort represents both a challenge and an opportunity. We need your innovation, we need your efficiency, we need your people, we need your creativity, we need your capacity to scale. To facilitate your investment, we've identified those regulatory policy barriers. We are working to eliminate them. We will put our money at that point where if these policy barriers are removed, our money is put to work. This is a pay-for-results effort that we are putting in. Our plans will create the environment where your investments can generate returns while driving meaningful impact. So that's going to take calculated risks, and every development bank here sees that we are ready to be your partner throughout this. For the World Bank Group, I can promise you our equity and guarantees, our resources to help de-risk investments and support your efforts. By aligning private capital with public priorities, we think we can achieve results that none of us could do alone. Philanthropies, people like Raj and his team, and development banks like the others here, provide the financial backbone. We bring the conception, the testing, the investment through concessional financing. The global community's generosity last year secured a record $100 billion replenishment for IDA, funding that is essential to this effort. Over the coming 5 to 6 years, and this is the only place where I'd like to correct my friend Akin, the World Bank is actually putting $30 to $40 billion into this effort, which is roughly, which if you think about it, if you're putting $100 billion into IDA, a large chunk of IDA is going into this effort to help Africa enable its people, its young people, to achieve their dreams and their aspirations, which is exactly what the money should be for. So this is the right priority being put to the right work. While Mission 300 is a centerpiece, it is part of a broader energy strategy. We are also working on energy projects, including investments in Nairobi Summit when I spoke. These are the sectors that will create jobs and growth that this generation demands. So that's our strategy for the World Bank Group's next phase. And I think all my colleagues of the World Bank Group are enthused by the idea of being a part of Mission 300. Thank you once again, Madam President, and thank you for all of you. Good luck.
Your leadership, that today extraordinary teams, we are only here today because each of you made courageous decisions to make extraordinary financial commitments at a time of genuine fiscal need across the continent. And I would like to highlight that I represent today not just the Rockefeller Foundation, but also the Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet, a group of philanthropies, partners, and private companies that together in partnership so we can achieve much more impact as opposed to going at it alone. Africa has been reaching for electricity for 140 years. Streetlights first arrived in Dar es Salaam in 1908. In an effort to create jobs and advance development, since then, you, the leaders of this great continent, have tamed some of the continent's mightiest rivers, developed plans and built grids, climbed utility poles and spliced wires. And yet, despite those efforts, too many African families and businesses lack access to productive power for growth and for jobs. 600 million Africans with a single quantitative measurable set of outcomes inspires transformation. And third, this effort is in fact a public-private philanthropic partnership. It is different from other initiatives I've been a part of. Just in the last 6 months, watching how the teams at the World Bank, the African Development Bank, and each of your nations are grids and other new technology solutions, and being open to new technology solutions that today are at a price point where this vision of success is affordable and possible, and in fact the least cost way to provide universal electrification, gives me hope that this will in fact be different and be successful. Mission 300 is an opportunity to work together and to work together differently. We pledge support as helpers and quiet helpers at every level of this project to ensure that decades from now, people look back on yesterday and today and say what happened in Dar es Salaam, much like turning the streetlights on in 1908, transformed a continent and transformed generations for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rajiv Shah, President of the Rockefeller Foundation, for your wonderful remarks. Your Excellency, before we proceed, allow me to recognize the presence of His Highness Sheikh Shakbut Al Nahyan, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs of the United Arab Emirates, and the representative of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed Al Nahyan, President of the United Arab Emirates. Can we give him a big round of applause? From ideas to action to...
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear friends, good morning. It is an honor to join you in beautiful Tanzania to address this important issue. I would like to thank all African governments for the support that you gave to COP29 presidency in Baku to help bring parties together and confront climate crisis together. Ladies and gentlemen, when we looked to the presidency, it became evident that the global financial system was failing to meet Africans' needs. Investment in clean energy has not matched the demands of your rising population. You deserved more, and COP29 was a chance to change. But the multilateral system was under pressure. People doubted that countries could agree and the process could deliver. We made a new finance deal our top negotiating priority. We were confident that the goal had to be fair and ambitious. When a target of $250 billion was initially suggested, we were clear that we needed to go further. We refused to close the conference. And in the final moments of extra time, we landed a deal on the Baku finance goal. This is a goal to mobilize at least $300 billion per year to the developing world by 2035. This triples the previous goal. It also provided a framework to scale up climate finance to $1.3 trillion per year. It is the largest financial target to come from UN climate process. It will help advance the Mission 300 initiative to provide electricity access to 300 million people in Africa by 2030. It will mean more energy infrastructure for Africa. It will mean more power for homes, businesses, schools, and hospitals. It will mean more opportunity for people across this continent. Your Excellencies, our job is not finished. National energy compacts from this summit will help guide international financial flows to your priorities. They will help global donors address your needs, such as clean cooking, which we already made progress on over the last year. Furthermore, many parts of the financial system still need to be fixed. As the COP29 presidency, we will continue to champion the needs of Africa on the world stage. We will hold governments to account for the promises they made in Baku, Azerbaijan. We will work with multilateral development banks and the private sector to scale up climate finance. And we will remind people how COP can deliver and why we must invest today to save tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, the active engagement of African governments was critical to our collective success. Azerbaijan is proud of what we achieved together, and we look forward to building on this partnership together. I thank you. Asante sana.
To invite Mrs. Amina Mohammed, the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations and the Chair of the UN Sustainable Development Group, for her remarks, to be followed by those of His Excellency President Mohamed Ghazouani, President of the Mauritian.
Your Excellency, President Samia Suluhu Hassan, Excellencies, Majesties, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a real pleasure to join you here all today, and I extend my heartfelt appreciation to Her Excellency, President Hassan, and to her government, the United Republic of Tanzania, for hosting Mission 300 Energy Summit. But I'd like also to underscore her incredible leadership and her vision that we are all here today and gathered as an African continent. I would also like to thank the African Union for keeping fire under our feet to do the right thing for the continent. Congratulations to my two brothers, the African Development Bank Group, AKIN, and to the World Bank Group, Ajay. These are incredible partnerships that bring genuine experience, decades, from the public sector to the private sector, and I think it's why we're looking to the success of this union. But also to the Rockefeller Foundation for a strong and meaningful partnership, one that brings key stakeholders together in this room. Your bold investments are a testament to Africa's potential for a sustainable and resilient future. Today, Africa has one of the lowest levels of energy access, as we have heard, but it is also one of the most vulnerable to intensifying climate shocks. Yet our continent is rich in renewable energy resources and critical minerals, which are all essential for the energy transition and benefit from limited sunk costs in fossil fuel-intensive energy infrastructures. Africa is also home to a vibrant, young, and enterprising population. This provides immense potential for Africa to show the rest of the world what a new economic development paradigm guiding sustainability, resilience, justice, and inclusivity can look like. Enhanced energy access, affordability, and reliability is not only crucial for achieving our Sustainable Development Goal 7, but it also serves as a catalyst for broader development goals. Access to clean and sustainable energy underpins progress in health, in education, in gender equality, while driving economic growth and climate action, many of the 17 goals. By advancing long-term energy security and sovereignty, we can foster peace, we can create green jobs, and build resilient livelihoods, paving the way for improved stability and prosperity across our continent. With renewables now being the cheapest source of new electricity almost everywhere on Earth, Mission 300's bold commitment to connect 300 million people to electricity by 2030 represents a transformative opportunity for Africa. Combined with systemic initiatives like the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, Africa is uniquely positioned to lead the global energy transition. By powering essential sectors such as healthcare, education, commerce, bolstering industries like solar manufacturing, grid infrastructure, and clean energy solutions, renewable energy can unlock unprecedented economic potential. With reliable energy access, the continent's 147 million small and medium enterprises, key drivers of economic growth, will have the tools to scale, to innovate, and create jobs, turning energy into a true catalyst for inclusive and sustainable progress. Tanzania stands as a shining example of how rural electrification and off-grid renewable energy solutions can transform lives, particularly in remote and underserved areas. The country has made remarkable strides, with electricity access increasing from just 14% in 2011 to 46% in 2022. And what does that mean? It has led to over 1 million new connections, driving a rural electrification rate of 72%. In November 2024, more than 60,000 social institutions were connected to the REA, benefiting 12,905 educational institutions, 6,768 health facilities, over 8,000 places of worship, and 29,000 commercial areas. This progress means that more boys and girls in remote areas can now study in well-lit classrooms. Health workers can deliver life-saving services to off-grid populations, and rural businesses can thrive with reliable power. Tanzania demonstrates how energy access is not just about electricity. It is about opportunity, equity, and the foundation of a brighter future and a life of dignity for everyone. We must ensure that Mission 300 seizes the opportunity that lies ahead. With 5 years to the endpoint of the SDGs, and having completed the first decade of implementing the African Union's 2063 agenda, it is clear that transformation efforts remain insufficient. I would like to deeply commend the African leadership that is here today as you seek solutions to address Africa's energy access, its climate vulnerability, and development challenges holistically. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have to accelerate our collective efforts to fast-track the solution for SDG 7, but also the Paris Agreement, and propel Africa to become a clean energy powerhouse. This requires urgent action in 3 key areas beyond this summit. First, creating the right enabling environment to attract scaled private and public investments through stronger, stable, and more coherent policy and regulatory frameworks. And we are very pleased to see, and thank you, Ajay, for the private sector that is here today, and that we hope will accompany us through this very difficult, but at the end, profitable journey. This year, every party to the UN Climate Convention has committed to submitting a new economy-wide national climate action plan that is aligned with the 1.5-degree world that we need well before COP30 in November. If done right, these climate plans should align with national energy strategies and development priorities, and they would double as investment plans to seize the potential of renewables, helping us to eradicate poverty and achieve the Sustainable Development Goals in the Paris Agreement. Furthermore, the Secretary-General's panel on critical energy transition minerals offers important principles and actionable recommendations to ensure that we do not repeat historical patterns of exploitation on this continent. Second, mobilizing affordable, accessible, and adequate finance. The chronic underinvestment in renewable energy in Africa and long-standing structural barriers, such as the exorbitant capital costs, mean that a continent with the potential to be a renewable powerhouse accounts for less than 1% of global installed solar capacity. It is why we're calling for an SDG stimulus to scale up affordable long-term financing for developing countries and for the Baku to Belém roadmap of $1.3 trillion to bridge the climate gap by leveraging all sources and by addressing unjust and structural barriers. Last year's Pact of the Future sent an unequivocal message: reform of the international financial architecture is urgent and essential. And this pact would not have got across the line if not for the leadership of the African leaders in the United Nations. It spoke to strengthening the voice and the representation of developing countries. It spoke to mobilizing far greater levels of financing for the SDGs and direct that financing to countries that are most in need. It spoke to enabling countries to borrow sustainably and with confidence to invest in their long-term development. But it also spoke to provide effective and equal support to countries during systemic shocks. Finally, multilateralism, our international cooperation, still remains our best hope for delivering solutions at the necessary scale and speed. And I know to many of us, as we look around to the geopolitical challenges that we have today, multilateralism doesn't seem like the best offer on the table. But it is. It is a place that we come to. It is a global town hall for our global village. It is where we see visibility and we can shine a light on the opportunities, but also that we can also give hope to the millions that look to us to serve them. The UN remains dedicated to supporting your efforts every step of the way. Through our UN expertise and presence in the country, we are committed to supporting Mission 300, the African Development Bank, the World Bank, and we're committed to helping identify and to attract investments that will strengthen the policy environment, the regulatory environment, that will secure resources that are needed to make Mission 300 a success. Finally, I would like also to commend our special representative. It's not often that we have women in leadership positions. Today we are hosted by a great leader that is a woman, but we also have we speak to the intergenerational challenges that we have, and we also have a special representative of the UN on Sustainable Energy for All, Damilola Ogumbi, who is playing a critical role within the Mission 300. It is a critical countdown to 2030. Let's ensure that Mission 300 delivers concrete outcomes towards the SDGs, Paris Agreement, and Agenda 2063. Let's seize that moment to accelerate and to deliver transformative progress. Together, I am sure that Africa can lead the way for the energy transition, creating lasting prosperity, resilience for generations to come, but actions and aspirations fulfilled today for our women and for our youth. Thank you.
Let's extend a round of applause to Mrs. Amina Mohammed, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations and the Chair of the UN Sustainable Development Group. Thank you so much for your kind remarks. From ideas to action to accelerate energy access, Your Excellency, allow me now to bring to the podium His Excellency President Mohamed Ould Ghazouani of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania and the Chair of the African Union. As he comes, let us give him a big round of applause. Karibu sana.
صاحبة الفخامة السيدة سامية صلوح حسن رئيس جمهورية تنزانيا الاتحادية، أصحاب الفخامة والمعالي رؤساء الدول والحكومات، السادة الوزراء، السيد رئيس مجموعة البنك الدولي، السيد رئيس مجموعة البنك الإفريقي للتنمية، السادة ممثلي الشركاء الفنيين والماليين، السادة ممثلي القطاع الخاص، أيها السادة والسيدات. يسرني أن أتوجه إلى أختي صاحبة الفخامة السيدة سامية صلوح حسن رئيس جمهورية تنزانيا المتحدة ومن خلالها إلى الحكومة والشعب التنزاني الشقيق بالشكر الجزيل على ما لقيناه ووفدنا المرافق من حفاوة الاستقبال وما أحطنا به من بالغ العناية، شاكرا لها احتضان هذه القمة الإفريقية حول الطاقة المهمة 300 المنظمة من طرف الاتحاد الإفريقي وجمهورية تنزانيا المتحدة شركائنا في التنمية مجموعة البنك الدولي ومجموعة البنك الإفريقي للتنمية، مقدرا لهما ما حرصا عليه من توحيد جهودهما في إطار شراكة طموحة لتمكين 300 مليون مواطن في إفريقيا جنوب الصحراء من النفاذ إلى كهرباء نقية مستدامة وبأسعار معقولة. أصحاب السعادة السيدات والسادة، تمثل الطاقة عموما والكهربائية منها على الوجه الأخص إحدى الركائز المحورية للتنمية وتحسين الظروف المعيشية للسكان، فتوفر كهرباء نظيفة بكمية كافية وبأسعار معقولة له التأثير الإيجابي على مختلف جوانب أهداف التنمية المستدامة. ولن تحقق قارتنا ما تنشده من تنمية صناعية ونمو اقتصادي وانتصار على الفقر والجوع ورفع للتحديات البيئية الجسيمة ما دمنا لم نتغلب على عجزنا الطاقوي الهائل، إذ لدينا اليوم ما يناهز 600 مليون مواطن إفريقي لا نفاذ لهم إلى الكهرباء ويعيشون على ضوء الشموع ومصابيح البترول. وإن الاتحاد الإفريقي لا يعي جيداً ما يمثله النفاذ إلى الكهرباء وتحقيق الأمن الطاقوي إجمالاً من دعامة ضرورية لكافة جهود التنمية، وما له من دور محوري تحويلي في القضاء على الفقر وتعزيز التصنيع والتنمية الاقتصادية وخلق فرص العمل وتحسين الخدمات الاجتماعية تعزيزاً لسبل العيش الكريم في القارة. ولذا أرسل الاتحاد الإفريقي في إطار أجندة 2063 رؤية مشتركة لتقليص العجز الطاقوي الذي تعاني منه القارة وتعزيز التكامل الطاقوي الإقليمي، وأطلق في هذا السياق مبادرات رائدة عديدة كالسوق الإفريقي الموحد للكهرباء والخطة التوجيهية للنظام الكهربائي القاري وبرنامج تطوير البنية التحتية في إفريقيا، كما واصل السعي إلى تعبئة التمويلات وتنويع الشراكات في سبيل أن تتوفر بالكمية المطلوبة لكل الأفارقة طاقة نظيفة آمنة مقبولة التكلفة. وعلى ضوء هذا الهدف الإفريقي المشترك يبرز البعد الحيوي والأهمية البالغة للمهمة 300 التي أطلقها البنك الدولي والبنك الإفريقي للتنمية من أجل ضمان النفاذ إلى الكهرباء لصالح 300 مليون مواطن إفريقي في جنوب الصحراء. ويشكل هذا المشروع فرصة استثنائية من حيث الحجم والمقاربة ستساهم بقوة في تسريع وتيرة الكهرباء في منطقة إفريقيا جنوب الصحراء بما يناسب الطلب المتزايد ويحفز النمو الاقتصادي ويخلق المزيد من فرص العمل. إن هذا المشروع يتطلب استثمارات هائلة عمومية وخصوصية وخيرية، فضلاً عن ضرورة التنسيق الوثيق بين مختلف أطرافه. وقبل هذا وذاك يتطلب المشروع التزاماً قوياً ثابتاً من بلداننا الإفريقية بتنفيذ الإصلاحات اللازمة لتهيئة مناخ استثماري جذاب ومستقر، وباتخاذ الإجراءات الضرورية لضمان السلامة المالية لشركات الكهرباء. ويجب في المقام الأول أن يتجسد هذا الالتزام الثابت في إعداد وتنفيذ تعهدات طاقوية وطنية تحدد أهدافاً قابلة للقياس في مجال تطوير وتعزيز التكامل
Can we please extend another round of applause to His Excellency the Islamic Republic of Mauritania and, of course, the Chair of the African Union for these wonderful remarks. Your Excellency, allow me now to request all of us to watch a brief video of Tanzania, the land of Kilimanjaro, Zanzibar, and the Serengeti, and the host country of the African Head of State Energy Summit 2025.
My country, the United Republic of Tanzania, renowned for its peace, democracy, and stability, is home to about 62 million people. Out of these, 78% have access to electricity. Our energy transformation journey began in the late 1960s with only one hydropower plant producing 21 megawatts. To us, energy security and accessibility is a key driver to our development agenda, and our ambition is to ensure strategic investment to clean, reliable, accessible, and affordable energy for all. It should also reflect my agenda, which is to ensure the 300 million will also be using clean cooking. Providing energy to 300 million people in Africa by 2030 is an ambitious mission, one that requires widespread support and collective action. I invite each of you to rise to this challenge because together we can achieve it.
Kabla ya huu umeme wa lea, ilikuwa inanibidi nitoke hapa niende Nyankumbu Center kwa ajili ya kutafuta stationery, kuingia kuweza kuchapa mitihani na kufanya printing. Tunashukuru walivyotuletea umeme. Kwa sasa tuna wiki testi za kutosha na kuna mabadiliko hata kitaaluma, wanafunzi wanazidi kuimprove.
Kabla kupata ile huduma ya umeme hapa, tulikuwa tunalima kidogo sana. Ilikuwa ni shida sana kupata na ile huduma ya kupata mafuta. Baada ya kupata ile mashine, ndio maana wakulima wamezidi. Kuna wakulima wengi sasa hivi wanaendelea tu kulima.
By signing on to Mission 300, through our Energy Compact, we commit to ensuring that every citizen has access to electricity by 2030. Today, as a president and a partner in this shared vision, I invite you to reflect on this message, to build a future of progress, prosperity, and sustainable development for all.
In the country, we have moved ahead to provide sustainable and affordable electricity to the general population by increasing the generation capacity. Again, the connectivity and the transmission also has been improved. The access of the electricity to the people. Now, we have 12,318 vehicles. They are all connected to the national grid.
Tulianza kuendesha
mradi ulitufikia, gharama zilipungua kwa asilimia kubwa sana.
Energy is one of our crucial sectors that we are trying to invite our friends from across the globe to come to Tanzania to invest in the energy sector, particularly the renewable energy. Tanzania has huge resources of renewable energy, and we hope that through this particular summit, we'll be able to attract friends, colleagues from across the globe to come to Tanzania to invest not just in any other sector, but particularly in the energy sector, especially in the renewable energy sectors.
Leo imenifanya kuwa na stationary kwa sababu hapo awali nilikuwa sina uwezo wa kutumia hivyo vifaa, ila kulingana na umeme wa leo sasa hivi na stationary.
We have advanced to the electrified train. It means now we can participate in decarbonization, in cleaning the air. We have 445 kilometers from Dar es Salaam to Dodoma. We are consuming something like 3 million kilowatts of electricity every month.
Umeme umetusaidia kuboresha vitu vingi kituoni. Kwa wakati mimi nimefika hapa, kuna vipimo ambavyo vilikuwa vinatumia umeme tulikuwa tuwezi kuvioda kwa sababu si hamna umeme, lakini mara tu baada ya kupata umeme tumeweza kuingia kwenye mfumo tukaomba dawa na ni vipimo MSD. Bahati nzuri tulivyoda tukaletewa. Kwa hiyo pia umeme umechangia hata mapato ya kituo yameongezeka.
Reliable energy is essential for advanced health services, from vaccine storage to virtual health databases. With dependable energy, Tanzania can better manage pandemics, epidemics, and provide universal health care.
The launch of Mission 300 reflects our commitment to ensuring reliable, affordable, sustainable, and clean energy for all. This is key for Africa. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, partners, and friends, it is my pleasure to warmly welcome you all to Tanzania for this landmark Africa Energy Summit 2025. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, allow me to develop a salutation in the room when I say Africa Energy Summit. With three fingers like this, we all say M300. Can we do that? Africa Energy Summit, M300. Africa Energy Summit, M300. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, allow me now to request Honorable Dr. Mashaka Biteko, the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Energy of the United Republic of Tanzania, to come and give us his remarks and then welcome you for your opening address and the presentation of the awards. Excellencies, honorable, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Dr. Doto Mashaka Biteko, our Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Energy of the United Republic of Tanzania. Karibu sana.
Your Excellency, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Excellencies, heads of states and governments, heads of international organizations and financial institutions, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, it is often said that the future belongs to Africa. This sentiment can be attributed to the continent's youth population and its vast resource endowment. However, I believe this optimistic outlook is also a reflection of Africa's visionary leadership. Your Excellencies, our next speaker exemplifies this leadership. From day one, she has tirelessly worked to ensure that we meet our energy needs while also fulfilling the aspiration of our people. Her Excellency, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, has played a key role on development of the energy sector in Tanzania. During her tenure, she has enabled Tanzania to become power generation sufficient and with a significant surplus. It is in her time that every village in Tanzania has been reached with a grid power supply. By her effort, Tanzania has been able to interconnect its power grid with 4 neighboring countries, and 2 more are coming.
Your Excellencies, she is the one who championed the Tanzanian Clean Cooking Initiative that includes the establishment of the Tanzanian Clean Cooking Strategy. Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, on the international stage, she has been instrumental in pushing the clean cooking agenda, including launching of African Women Clean Cooking Support Program during the COP28 in Dubai, co-chairing the Clean Cooking Conference in Paris, and the leadership in a number of other world stage energy-related initiatives. Excellencies, it is my honor now to invite our host, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan. Here in Tanzania, we call her Mama, to take the podium and address this historical gathering.
Your Excellency, the African Union Chair and President of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, Highnesses, Majesties, and Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, Dr. Akina Deshina, President of the African Development Bank, Dr. Ajay Banga, President of the World Bank, Dr. Rajiv Shah, Rockefeller Foundation, Mr. Mukhtar Babayev, President of the COP29, Madam Amina Mohamed, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations and Chair of the UN Sustainable Development Group, heads of multilateral institutions here present, honorable ministers here present, members of the diplomatic corps, members of the press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, M3. On behalf of the people and the government of the United Republic of Tanzania, I have the distinct honor and pleasure to welcome you to Dar es Salaam and to thank you for honoring our invitation. We are honored to host this African Heads of State Energy Summit, and we welcome the important deliberations on ensuring access to reliable and affordable and sustainable energy for all in Africa. With that being said, this summit goes beyond energy access. It is about empowering families, lifting millions out of poverty, and providing hope and opportunities for youth. It is about our commitment to economic transformation, fostering industries, creating jobs, and sparking innovation across Africa. And it is about realizing the promise of uplifting every African community to reach the last mile and ensure that no one is left behind. At present, nearly 600 million Africans who lack energy represent 83% of the global energy deficit. To give a contrast, the electrification rate in Southeast Asia reached 96.6% in 2019, while in Africa today, this rate is less than 50%. Additionally, Southeast Asia is on track to reach universal electricity access by 2030. While looking at the current pace of electrification in Africa, without a collective intervention, by 2030, as many as 545 million people will still be without electricity. Excellencies, in order to overcome hurdles impeding energy access, we need to take bold actions by increasing investment and financing for infrastructure development, from power generation to the last mile connectivity. And we must have an agreed roadmap among African states, our partners and private sector, keeping in mind that we have just 5 years to meet the SDG target, as ensuring access to affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy for all. This gathering is a platform to consolidate commitments, announce new partnerships, and drive momentum towards the 2030 goal. Together with the private sector, development partners, financial institutions, and civil society, we can bridge the energy gap through action or actionable energy compacts. At this summit, we also hope to get endorsement for the Dar es Salaam Energy Declaration to guide our efforts. It is for this reason that I salute Presidents Adesina of the African Development Bank, Ajay Bank of the World Bank, the Rockefeller Foundation, and the allied partners for ensuring the successful convening of this important and historical summit. I also wish to thank the honorable ministers responsible for energy, finance, and foreign affairs for diligent preparations. Excellencies, I'm aware that simultaneous interpretation is available in Swahili as well, and so allow me to proceed in my local language. Waheshimiwa wakuu wa nchi na serikali, wakuu wa mashirika ya kimataifa, waheshimiwa mawaziri, wageni waalikwa, mabibi na mabwana, Tanzania ni moja kati ya nchi 12 zitakazozindua mpango mahsusi wa kitaifa kuhusu nishati, National Energy Compact. Kupitia mpango wetu tunatarajia kuongeza kasi ya kuunganisha umeme nchini hadi kufikia 72% ifikapo mwaka 2030. Ili kufanikisha azma hiyo, ndani ya muda wa miaka 5 ijayo, tutahitaji uwekezaji wenye thamani ya dola za Kimarekani bilioni 13, ambapo dola bilioni 5 zitapatikana kutoka sekta binafsi hapa nchini. Kupitia mpango huu, tumepanga kutekeleza mambo makubwa 4. La kwanza ni kuongeza uzalishaji wa umeme kutokana na nishati mchanganyiko, yani energy mix. Hadi sasa, Tanzania ina uwezo wa kuzalisha megawatts 3431, ambapo 58% ya hizo inatokana na vyanzo vya maji, 35% inatokana na gesi, na 7% inatokana na vyanzo vingine. Shabaha yetu ni kuongeza megawatts 2463 za nishati kutokana na nishati ya jua, gesi asilia, upepo, joto ardhi na vyanzo vingine ifikapo 2030. Jambo la pili, kijiografia Tanzania ni kiungo muhimu katika kuunganisha mtandao wa umeme kwa nchi za Mashariki na Kusini mwa Afrika, Eastern African Power Pool na Southern African Power Pool, na hivyo kuwezesha biashara ya umeme kutoka Afrika Kusini hadi Misri. Tayari tumekwishaunganisha miundombinu ya umeme na nchi za Burundi, Kenya na Rwanda, na sasa tunaendelea kuunganisha miundombinu ya umeme na nchi ya Zambia na Uganda. Kuwepo kwa miundombinu hiyo itawezesha biashara ya nishati kati ya nchi za Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki na nchi za SADC. Tanzania inayo nafasi ya kuuza umeme ikizingatiwa kuwa hadi mwezi Novemba 2024 mahitaji ya umeme nchini Tanzania yalikuwa megawatts 1880, wakati uzalishaji wetu ni megawatts 3431. Jambo la tatu ni kufikisha umeme kwenye vitongoji baada ya kufanikiwa kusambaza umeme katika vijiji vyote vya Tanzania. Mwelekeo wetu ni kuvifikia vitongoji vyote 64359. Hadi sasa tumeshavifikia vitongoji 32827 na kazi inaendelea katika vitongoji 20,000. Hivyo kupitia mpango huu tutaweza kukamilisha vitongoji 11,532 vilivyobakia. Jambo la nne ambalo mpango huu utafanya ni kusaidia usambazaji wa nishati safi ya kupikia. Inakadiriwa watu 950 barani Afrika wanakosa nishati safi ya kupikia. Hali hii inaligharimu sana bara letu na inahusishwa na kuongezeka kwa umaskini, vitishio vya kiafya, uharibifu wa mazingira, kuongezeka kwa uzalishaji wa kaboni, kupotea kwa bioanuwai na kukosekana kwa usawa wa kijinsia. Nchini Tanzania, utegemezi wa kuni na mkaa kwa ajili ya kupikia ni zaidi ya 90%. Hatuwezi kupuuza madhara na gharama kubwa ya kutumia kuni na mkaa, hasa kwa afya na ustawi wa wanawake na wasichana. Katika kukabiliana na hili, Tanzania tumeweka mkakati wa kitaifa wa nishati safi ya kupikia unaolenga kupandisha kiwango cha matumizi ya nishati safi ya kupikia kutoka 10% ya sasa hadi 80% ifikapo mwaka 2034. Mpango mahsusi tunaozindua leo utasogeza karibu kufikia lengo hilo. Excellencies, to achieve the ambitious targets outlined in our national energy compacts, which will be soon presented, we African leaders need to commit our governments to address critical bottlenecks across the energy value chain as outlined in the Compact's action plans. As we welcome the commitments by the African Development Bank and the World Bank and other financial institutions to scale up financing and technical assistance for active participation of the private sector, we African leaders commit to create favorable investment environment through policy reforms, transparent procurement, and innovative financing mechanisms. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our gathering here in Dar es Salaam with Mission 300 as our agenda sets us on right track to realize the goal of universal access to energy for all. Together, we can light up Africa, transform Africa's energy landscape, and empower generations. Thank you all for your kind attention, and I wish you all fruitful deliberation. Asanteni sana.
Ladies and gentlemen, another big round of applause to our host, Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania. Kindly be seated. Before I extend the request to Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan back to the stage to present the award, Your Excellency, allow me first and foremost to recognize the ministers that are present here who have represented their heads of state. To begin with South Africa, let's give them a round of applause. Tunisia, Rwanda, Morocco, Zimbabwe, but we also have Norway, UAE, Senegal, Cameroon, Azerbaijan, Zimbabwe, infrastructure, G. women, and category number 3 will be the general category. I now have the honor and take singular honor to request Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan back onto the stage, as well as Dr. Doto Mashaka Biteko to present the awards to the winners. As they come, can we give them a big round of applause? May I request the winners to kindly move forward. Under the youth category, the first winner is Neema Walter, and she will be presented by a dummy check of Tanzanian shillings, 50 million shillings, for coming up with Nishati Mixed Technologies. Neema Walter. So what is this Nishati Mixed Technologies? Nishati Mixed Technologies aims to provide a sustainable solution to expand clean cooking access in Tanzania by manufacturing efficient gas burners and recycling waste plastics into clean cooking gas. The system offers both environmental and economic benefits by converting plastic waste into fuel, supporting undeserved communities. Your Excellency, I would like to request you to present the second award to Joshua Joasi of a dummy check of 40 million Tanzanian shillings for coming up with an innovation called Click Gas System. Let's give him a round of applause. The Click Gas System is a planted LPG delivery solution designed to improve the clean cooking supply chain in Tanzania. Your Excellency, can I please request you to present a third award to Samson Mwakapoma of 30 million shillings, coming up with an innovation of clean and effective biogas production with fuel gas filtering. This combines biogas generation with unique method of using flue gases. A round of applause. On to the women category, Your Excellency, may I request you to present an award to Ms. Agnes Mashoko, Smart Picker Limited. As she comes, let's give her a round of applause. This innovation addresses the affordability gap by introducing the world's first pay-as-you-go model. Your Excellency, we have two winners under women category. The first of the second winner is Mercy Chilumba, coming with Ben Paul, the artist in East Africa. Together they have sung a cooking song and a TV awareness program. Let's give them a big round of applause. The second winner, Your Excellency, is none other but Ms. Sabra Muhammad of the Mwanamke Initiative, coming all the way from Zanzibar. A round of applause. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, allow me now to bring to the stage Doris Male, who came with an innovation, iLink Limited, TA Mamma Mia Soko. This platform is designed to increase the purchasing power of its members by offering them a commission-based income for referring others to join the platform. Excellency, the final category is none other but the general category, and I would like to request you to present the first award to Mr. Bernard Makachia, who came up with Chabri Energy Company innovation, that is clean and effective biogas production with flue gas filtering. A round of applause to him. Your Excellency, may I request you to present the second award to Mr. Andron Mendes, who came up with an innovation called M-Pica. This is proprietary refillable 400 gas canisters with LPG. Finally, Your Excellency, may I request you to present the final award to none other but Atukuzwe Nkia for his innovation on institutional induction stove. I would like to thank you very much, Your Excellency. Kindly take back your seat. As they go to take their seats, let's give them a big round of applause. Naomba tuwapigie makofi pamoja na washindi wetu. Your Excellency, we are now going on to the plenary session, and I would like you to request me to bring to the podium none other but Ms. Nozifo Shabalala, the CEO, the conversation strategist, to take us up onto the next program. As she is already here, ladies and gentlemen, kindly extend a warm welcome to her. Karibu.
Asante sana kaka. Ladies and gentlemen, what an absolute privilege it is to be back on stage with you again. At this moment, we're going to be proceeding with the official MOU signing ceremony. And now, to oversee the signing ceremony, it gives me great pleasure to welcome Professor Vincent Miele, the Secretary General of the African Development Group, who will facilitate the special moment of an MOU signing between the African Development Bank Group and the World Bank Group. Can we give our professor a big round of applause as he comes up? Thank you so very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the World Bank Group and the African Development Bank Group wish to enter into a new memorandum of understanding to deepen their partnership and provide the basis on which they may explore opportunities for cooperation and collaboration on matters of common interest, and to render their respective activities more effective and beneficial. These include promoting programs and activities that foster closer cooperation between the two institutions, with a sectoral focus on A, energy, including energy efficiency, energy security, clean cooking, energy transition, and B, agriculture and food security. As a result, may I use this opportunity to invite Mr. Ajay Banga, President of the World Bank, and Dr. Akiumi A. Adeshina, President and the Chairperson of the Board of Directors of the African Development Bank Group, to the podium for the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding.
Round of applause for a very efficient signing ceremony. Thank you very much. Let's give our Secretary General of the African Development Bank Group a good round of applause, please. Ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, it's my pleasure to introduce to the podium a conversation on the role of a private investment in Africa's energy sector. It's my pleasure to welcome my sister Linda Mabena Ologanju, the CEO and founder of DLO, who is going to moderate this conversation. And joining Linda on stage is Patrick Puyane, the CEO of Total, Hussein Alunowe, the chairman of Amir Power, Aminu Umar Sadiq, the Managing Director and CEO of the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority, Mr. Makta Diop, the Managing Director of the IFC, and ladies and gentlemen, as they come to the podium, can we welcome them? Can we give them a warm African round of applause just to give them some energy? Thank you very much. I'm seeing some steps onto the
Your Excellency, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, and may I say, our gracious host, and also a model for many, many, many female politicians in the world. Thank you very much. Your Royal Highnesses, Your Excellencies, esteemed Presidents, Honorable Prime Ministers and Ministers, Mr. President of the African Development Bank, Mr. President of the World Bank Group, and Mr. the President of the Rockefeller Foundation, partners from the private sector and from philanthropies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We are gathered here not only because we want to electrify Africa, not only because we believe in the future Africa, not only because we believe that is the last reservoir of productive capacity for the world, but also because we believe that we are reaching a milestone in our journey. And this milestone is very much related to capacity building. We want to engage relevant stakeholders and get the backing of financial partners. And for that, we need to get beyond the traditional way of financing projects. We need to get actionable projects and finance them in 2030 and 2035. And for that, we need to pitch them. We need to finance them in 2025. There's no secret. For all these projects, power plants, grids, green shipping fuels, pipelines, connectivity to materialize, we should be drafting offtake agreements and financing them today. Adapting and scaling all these business models are key to successful and fast-track energy access and electrification programs with a focus on local and distributed generation and technology flexibility. In Morocco, as you know, we have reached 99.8% of rural electrification. And I would call on the quote of the chairman of the African Union and Mr. President of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania when he quoted the difficulty of the last mile and the difficulty to finance and access the last mile. And in parallel, of course, we need to put together a supportive regulatory environment with a focus on facilitating multiple small-scale projects and setting clear pricing expectations. Because investors need visibility, and our role as governments is to provide them that transparency and that visibility to provide long-term financing for projects. And we also need to push for a new vision of multilateralism and reform of multilateral financial institutions. And again, I'll be quoting here His Majesty King Mohammed VI at the annual World Bank IMF meetings in Marrakesh, when he said that these meetings of the IMF and the World Bank annual gathering concluded that there was a pressing need to reform multilateralism and development financing. Two levers humanity came up with to meet the challenges of the 20th century. Two levers in which we believe today. So multilateral banks, international financial organizations serve as catalysts, but they need to do more, and we're happy to see the signing of the MOU by providing guarantees and risk-sharing mechanisms to reduce the perceived risks. These are perceived risks most of the time associated with investments in utilities and energy, particularly in Africa. As you know, in Morocco, we have also have that experience, 30 years of experience of attracting financial private capital in the energy systems. Because we've been an infrastructure space as well. We had our first independent power producer back in 1992. So we've had that long experience of attracting and putting together and structuring bankable projects, so we can capitalize on those experiences and we can capitalize on those lessons. And today we need win-win partnerships and an adequate risk allocation for our projects. In renewables, we've launched massive investments, again, with a focus on multiplying investments in our grids by 5 annually, multiplying investments in power generation, including renewable, by 3 annually. And of course, a minimum local industrial content of 30% in all renewable projects. And I would like to say a few words, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on the political vision that we have for the energy sector in Morocco and in Africa. It's connectivity. We've invested heavily and massively in our grid and our connectivity with our neighbors. And I'm pleased to say that we signed last week in Rabat an MOU, an agreement, friends and our brothers in the Republic of Mauritania, to develop an electricity interconnection. But that's not the first step, because we know we cannot succeed alone and we need to work together that our markets are connected, not from an energy perspective, not from an economic perspective, but from a social and stability and peace perspective. If our markets are not connected, we will never be able to transcend our economic transformation, and we will never be able to put our countries on the path of sustainable development. So in Morocco, our geostrategic vision that we call the Atlantic Corridor aims to unlock Africa's growth potential, aims to ensure that countries of the Sahel have access to the Atlantic Ocean, aims to ensure that more than 400 million people in Africa have access to modern forms of energy, including, of course, gas connectivity. Morocco is one of the 5 global connectors of the global value chains. It's also a land of reconciliation. We are facilitating cooperation between major geopolitical blocs in areas like knowledge, intelligence, research and development, and grid management. A facilitator and a driver of this economic and social transition unfolding before us. We are continuing our active role in accelerating the integration of energy markets, cutting, of course, the two shores of the Mediterranean Sea with our partners